sack, the 5th one of the night for Alabama.
Christian Harris is the one that cleans it up. He's in that spy position, and when he runs up in the pocket, he gets it.
They don't come much better than this one. Lanny Dickerson says, those are my guys. Doing his little dance on the cart this time. Navy's with Nick Saban.
Coach, was that final play emblematic of how tough your defense had to be all night?
Well, I tell you what, they're a very challenging team, and we certainly didn't match up with them, and that was my concern going in, but got to give our team a lot of credit. Offense responded every time they needed to so that we could stay ahead in the game. Special teams made the plays they need to make at the end of the game, so it's a great team win. We knew it'd have to be this way, so I'm excited for our players. I'm excited for our fans. You know, it's something significant to me to win the SEC championship. Florida's got a great team, and we knew it'd be a tough game, and probably good for us to be in a dogfight, and we were certainly in one tonight.
You had a lot of, you didn't have a lot of challenges up until this point this season. What can you say about the way Kyle Trask coached your defense this season?
Well, I just think that, you know, 84-1, I mean, those two guys who couldn't guard, so there's a lot of problems. We make a play down here that would have, you know, and we're offsides on defense and undisciplined type play, but get an opportunity to go to the playoffs.
Congratulations.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Were you tight squeeze?
Turns out to cook a whole dinner, you need a whole kitchen. Then we found out with Rocket Mortgage looking at loan options for our next kitchen. We're easy.
I'm just going to ignore that.
I think her.
One, two, three, four, five, 1, 2.
Gotta get rid of her. She's been demoted to like a moon show.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Thank you. I am listening. Oh, I was listening. I was listening to Eric.
We're talking about.
Are you?
You're saying I'm ESPN ready.
Yes, you are.
So I'm
You're
going
ready for whatever you want to do.
Sage Steele's position.
Pretty
Real
girl,
pretty girl.
curly
Curly hair.
black hair.
Mhm.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Where
Yeah.
is she now?
She's moving to Noon. What did she do? Like, did she do like highlights or did she just talk?
Sure. Yeah, can you hear me? Perfect.
Records, SEC champion.
Two teams that have given us more matchups in SEC championship game history than any. And look at that.
We said you would enjoy an offensive performance, and that's just one for the ages. I mean, this triumvirate of great competitors for the Crimson Tide, these are all record-setting performances, Brian. It was epic.
Well, it's just amazing that they continue to develop and turn out magnificent performers like these guys. How many times have we seen this movie? This is Alabama under Nick Saban. Annually, they're not just in the conversation. They are the conversation. They win conference championships. They go on to play for national titles. And it's just a phenomenal job that Nick Saban and his entire staff have done building this program and more so maintaining it.
And Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, all were fantastic tonight. But when you're going to beat Alabama, especially this version of Alabama, you have to be perfect. And Dan Mullen wants back those 20 seconds that he gave to them at the end of the first half, and he wants back the timeout he used to call the two-point play there at the end of the game, because that timeout cost him from having an opportunity to get back in the game at the finish.
At least to call timeout after that final sack. I mean, Florida put on a show here as well, but this is not Alabama of 10 years ago.
Offensively, yes, they showed up. There were some missed opportunities as we highlighted during our halftime. But defensively, they have to get better. Todd Grantham's bunt, that is not the Florida defense we have seen in their championship past. These guys are not physical enough to win this type of game. Yeah, they made some stops in the third quarter. They held Alabama scoreless in the third quarter. So I give them credit for that, but still not enough.
Alabama will be the 1 seed.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wait to see who they'll be matched up against. And obviously,
Great job.
So worth it.
This holiday season, celebrate the gift of adoption as families come together. A Home for the Holidays, Sunday on CBS.
They're dealing with the 22 players who were not available because of COVID, and they'll get better, but I think they're going to get a chance to party in this dance.
You and I agree on number 1 and number 2. It's Alabama and Clemson in those particular holes. I think the committee is going to choose Ohio State in the 3rd hole. They have already given the inclination that Ohio State's worthy despite a shortened season, which is drawing the ire of a lot of people around the country, but they're an undefeated football team. They're a conference champion, and I think they'll be in the 3 hole. The question then will become Notre Dame or Texas A&M. Both have lost to the 1 or 2 teams, right?
Right.
Both have lost. I think Notre Dame lost by 24 today.
Yes.
A&M lost by 28. The question then is the quality of their wins. Notre Dame's victory over Clemson will be trump the Aggies' victory over Florida.
Okay.
That's where I think
What about
they'll fall.
losing this late in the season? Will that catapult A&M ahead of Notre Dame and the manner in which Notre Dame lost today?
It may. And Aggie fans hope you're right. But I think that was a reason to go to a human committee so that you could look and say that the later loss isn't necessarily worse than the earlier loss. So I believe that the poor, as I said.
Yeah, and different when Notre Dame beats Clemson without Trevor Lawrence on the field in South Bend.
But I think we should have 8.
Yeah, we know.
I'm with you there.
I was good with 6. Look, the committee will make up its mind and then form the argument around it. That will do it for us. We thank you for watching the College Football Postgame Show presented by Rocket Mortgage. A reminder, the NFL on CBS continues tomorrow.
From CBS 46, this is the SEC Championship Wrap-Up Show.
The SEC Championship.
A battle of the best.
Close, and Najee Harris gets him to the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
Bama versus the Florida Gators.
Trask gonna go deep. He's got Tony, and he's got it. Touchdown, Florida.
In the ultimate test for the title.
We are looking at live pictures of Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the SEC Championship game just wrapped up. A minimum amount of fans were allowed inside the stadium. They have started to stream out. It was an intense night of college football with the SEC's two top teams battling it out for the championship game. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sean Gables.
And I'm Rick Fulbaum. This was an action-packed game tonight. Both teams really came out and executed impressive plays that kept fans on the edge of their seats until the very end. And in the end, it was Alabama with the big win, taking home the title tonight. The final score, Alabama 52, Florida 46. We have team coverage tonight with crews at the stadium talking to fans. Fred Khalil, Emily Gagnon, and former UGA quarterback Aaron Murray also in tonight analyzing the big plays and what this means for the bowl game lineup. Let's start with our sports director, Fred Khalil. Fred.
All righty, Rick, as you said, we have team coverage and analysis tonight. Emily Gagnon and Aaron Murray standing by live right now to offer their take on tonight's game. We're going to check in with Aaron in just a moment, but first, Emily, joins us live outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. What a game, Emily.
Oh my gosh, what an entertaining SEC championship game. One of the best I've seen in recent history. And Fred, you know I do this before every show we have. I get with our producer, Jacob Roth, and we talk about some of the storylines I might talk about when I'm live at a game. Now, it could all change depending on the outcome of the game, but I told him today, the very first thing I told him, I said, I want to talk about Najee Harris because he entered the game with 22 rushing touchdowns, the most in FBS this season, and 42 career rushing touchdowns at Alabama, which tied Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram for the most in Alabama history. Well, wouldn't you know it, guys? Harris tonight, he scored 5 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground. That means that he set quite a few records tonight. Stick with me here. So now he owns the most rushing touchdowns in school history at Alabama. That's one record. The next record is most touchdowns at Alabama. He now has 54. He entered the game with 49. He passed Sean Alexander. And those 5 touchdowns were the most in SEC championship game history. Yeah. So tonight he had quite a game. And if you ask me, Heisman Trophy voters, you definitely have to take a look at him because he needs to be in the conversation. He had quite a game tonight. He came back for his senior season. He could have been playing in the NFL this past season, but he came back, and he came back for a reason, to win tonight and to move on to play in the playoff and hopefully win a national championship. So Najee Harris, the night belonged to him. Alabama taking it tonight against Florida. Very impressive game from Kyle Trask and from Mac Jones, the 2 quarterbacks who we'll talk about throughout the night. Fred?
Okay, Emily, thank you so much. And joining us tonight is our analyst, is former Bulldog and NFL quarterback Aaron Murray. Aaron, you played an epic SEC championship game, 2012 against Alabama. It was a tough 32-28 loss, but this really is the showcase game of Championship Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, by far. I mean, the SEC is the best conference out there, even a year like this year. And I just got to get used to 52 to 46 games, you know, kind of when I was going through the SEC and growing up watching this game and everything that it meant to this conference. You're used to good defense. So it is a little bit odd seeing these games where it's offense back and forth, tons of points, tons of big explosive plays from 2 tremendous quarterbacks, some great plays from tight ends, receivers, running backs. And it was a lot of fun to watch tonight. It was obviously a lot of fun to be a part of. Had 2 opportunities, one against LSU, my sophomore year, and then junior year against Alabama. A little bit of a nail biter, one that will probably haunt me the rest of my life, but still a game I will never forget.
That was a tough 32-28. I remember Chris Conley right down at the 5-yard line at the end of the game. That was a tough loss. Let's talk about this one. Alabama with 3 Heisman candidates on their offense: Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris. So, I mean, that was a power-packed offense.
Yeah, listen, if you had to go Heisman right now, I know Kyle Trask was kind of the guy for most of the season. Take nothing away from Kyle Trask. He had a tremendous season. Love what he did. I think he had a bit of a speed bump last week versus LSU. And the way Alabama's offense is run right now, first off, Steve Sarkisian is a tremendous coordinator. What he's been able to do all year long, figuring out the one-on-one matchups, moving guys around. I mean, shoot, you see Najee Harris matched up on the outside, his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, moving Devontae Smith around. It is really fun to see. So, man, listen, if I had a vote, which I don't, I wish I did, I don't know who I'd give it to, but I guarantee it'd be someone on that Crimson side team. It's just between Mac, Devontae, Najee. I think all three of those guys deserve it. Obviously, Najee had the big, I guess you could say, Heisman moment tonight. We know what he can do in the backfield running the football. We've seen what he can do catching the football this entire season. He's just so diverse. And then Devontae Smith may be the best athlete in all of college football. And the thing with the Heisman nowadays, it is somewhat of a quarterback award. And the way Mac has played this entire season, the way Mac played tonight with all those touchdowns, he's proven that he is the best quarterback this year when it comes to performance. Obviously, there's some better quarterbacks out there that will probably get drafted higher in the NFL draft. But based on performance this season, the numbers, the stats, winning the SEC, leading the number one team in the country right now, you got to give him the nod. So it's a toss-up. It's unfortunate they're going to kind of most likely take votes away from each other. But I guess I'll be a little bit quarterback biased here to give it to Mac Jones.
Why not? Let's talk about Alabama with those three big receivers tonight. They almost made it impossible when I was watching for Florida to cover all of them. I mean, they were just spread out the way they positioned themselves. It was just almost impossible to cover them.
Well, it starts with the run game first. I mean, if you can establish a run game and get Najee going, Florida, that's something that they've struggled this season. They've struggled stopping the run. So in their case, they had to put an extra linebacker in there. They had to bring a safety to make it more of a 7-man box, which allows you to get some more one-on-one coverage on the outside. Or like Gary Danielson shown on the one Devontae Smith touchdown, a little bit of a cover 4 defense, which cover 4 allows those safeties to be in a little bit more run support. And then when you're able to clear out those safeties with 2 vertical routes, you're able to sneak in that backside over route from Devontae, which proved to be a pretty sweet play. But, the way Steve Sarkisian creates matchups, once again, I'll talk about him, it's been really fun to watch. I think he's a guy, obviously, that has been rumored to be a guy that has a chance to be the next coach at Auburn. I think he'd be a great choice, especially with a guy like Bo Nix and Tank Bigsby there at the University of Auburn. So he schemes it up really well. He gets those matchups. He does a great job with different personnel groups, 2 tight end sets, different formations, like I said, in a good mix of run pass and some great play action to go along with it. So it's a very balanced offense. It's a lot of fun to watch, and he's able to create some really good one-on-one matchups to allow these speedy receivers to go out there and make some plays down the football field.
Okay, let's pick our player of the game.
Now the player of the game, brought to you by Xfinity. Experience internet that's more than just fast with Xfinity XFi.
Plenty of options, Aaron, but who do you like?
I got to go with Najee Harris. I mean, all the touchdowns, catching the football, moving out to receiver, 178 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns there. I just think he was kind of the, obviously, star of the game with everything he was able to do.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I like the way Devontae played. He made a lot of nice plays as well tonight. All right, let's bring back Emily for a moment. With all the Power 5 championship games in the books, all that's left is to find out who's headed to the college football playoff. What do you think, Emily?
All right, so I think the 4 teams right now, as you look at it before the championship games, will still be in come tomorrow at noon when the final word is out of the final teams that will make it into this year's college football playoff. I have Alabama at number 1. You cannot argue that. They're the number 1 team in the land, and I think it'll remain that way for a while. Number 2, I've got Clemson after taking down Notre Dame convincingly today. I can't help but think the first time these guys faced off in the regular season, had Trevor Lawrence been healthy, would Notre Dame have been able to beat Clemson? I think the answer is no, but hey, that's old history now. So I've got Clemson at 2. And then at 3 and 4, it's a toss-up, but I do think Ohio State and Notre Dame will be at 3 or 4. I would put Ohio State at 3. They have gone unbeaten. I know that a lot of people don't like the fact that they've only played 6 games this season, but they won the Big Ten championship game, and Notre Dame only has 1 loss to the number 2 team in the country, Clemson, as we see it tomorrow. Fred?
Okay, Aaron, did Ohio State do enough to make it?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you hate to see a team in there that's only played half the games of some of these other teams in the country. So I'd go 1 Alabama, 2 Clemson, 3 Ohio State. And listen, I've been waving the Notre Dame flag for a long time. I love Ian Book, love their defense, and I kind of was in the mindset they were a lock to get in there unless they got blown out. And it was a pretty bad loss today. Obviously, the committee was watching it very closely. I just don't think you can come back. I know they beat Clemson early in the season. That game was there at Notre Dame. Clemson was missing a bunch of guys on defense. Obviously, they were missing Trevor Lawrence. Nothing taken away from them. It was a great victory. It's a great victory versus North Carolina. But to get blown out the way they did this weekend and today, it doesn't really sit well with me. I think Texas A&M is going to jump to that number 4 spot. I'm a big fan of Cincinnati. I wish a Group of 5 team would get in there. I think they deserve it after winning their conference championship today, going undefeated. But kind of the way the committee's voted these past few weeks, you got the feeling that Cincinnati is going to be on the outside looking in. And unfortunately, I think Notre Dame may be on the outside looking in as well.
So much turmoil, really. The committee moved the semifinal game from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena to Arlington, Texas, and the Cowboy Stadium. So California with lots of restrictions, Aaron. So, I mean, this is really a big, big weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this is a fluid season. We all know it. I mean, you got to stay on your toes and be ready for, changes and location changes and players playing. And I mean, look at Ohio State today, missing their best receiver Olave, missing a bunch of guys on both sides of the football. Wasn't the best performance, but they found a way to win the game at the end of the day. And I think that's, once again, credit to all the players, coaches, everyone making the decisions that, hey, we were able to get through the season. We were able to get the championship weekend, go back to August. There's a lot of doubt to, could we even get to week 1? Can we even get to half the season? We made it. SEC, I would say, was a huge success this year. All the games are play and then able to get here into championship weekend. So, like I said, 2 thumbs up for all of college football right now.
I have to agree with you, Aaron. Sean?
All right, thank you, Fred. Gunfire erupts at a Metro Atlanta mall on one of the busiest shopping weekends of the year. Coming up, hear from a shopper who was there as the chaos unfolded.
Also, a CDC committee approving a second coronavirus vaccine. Just ahead, hear who still has to give the okay before the company can start shipping out doses.
And showers are closing in on us tonight. I'll let you know if those will be an issue for your Sunday. And as we look ahead to Christmas, some in North Georgia may see a white Christmas. We'll talk about that in the 7-day coming up.
Breaking news tonight, a girl in a fight at a mall ends in gunfire, and tonight police are still looking for the women involved. The noise sent panicked shoppers scrambling.
This happened this afternoon at Arbor Place Mall in Douglas County. Yasmina Alston is live there for us tonight with some new video showing the chaos inside as shoppers tried to get to safety.
A very scary situation for people who were inside of the mall, which of course was crowded and busy this afternoon. Police still looking for the two women who they say were fighting inside the mall when those shots were fired.
Lord have mercy.
It was chaotic at Arbor Place Mall in Douglasville on Saturday afternoon after shots were fired near the security entrance. Russell Malden's wife was inside shopping at the time.
I was waiting on her, seen about 20-30 people running out the JCPenney doors, and I asked a girl, I said, what happened? And she said they're shooting in the mall.
Douglasville police say video shows two women were fighting when at some point during the fight, a gun was discharged.
You know, a stray bullet could have caught a kid or, you know, a family member or something. I mean, that would have been tragic.
Police say no one was shot and both women fled from the mall immediately. One person was, however, transported from the mall after getting hurt from falling. After the incident, many people were seen leaving the mall, some telling us this is very scary and unusual for the area.
Yeah, especially on this side of town, because I mean, this isn't like, normally when you hear like something like this happening at a mall, you think Lenox, not Arbor Place.
And police say if you have any information or video of the two women, to contact them to help in this investigation. In Douglasville, Yasmina Alston, CBS 46 News.
Tonight, a man is behind bars after a high-speed and reckless chase in Cherokee County. It started on Georgia 53 at Main Street around 1:30 this afternoon. Authorities arrested this man, 43-year-old Elmer Pence. They say he was wanted for aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer. When officers tried to stop him, he took off instead, leading troopers on a chase. Troopers say Pence outran them and then ditched his vehicle. Authorities later caught up with him and arrested him in Fairmount. During the chase, a state trooper crashed, but is expected to be okay.
Tonight, distribution efforts underway for a second coronavirus vaccine. Moderna getting the green light from a CDC advisory committee this afternoon, and now the company is awaiting final approval from the CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield. If all goes as planned, Moderna vaccines could be given out as soon as Monday. And it couldn't come at a better time. In the last 24 hours, the Georgia Department of Public Health recorded more than 4,000 new coronavirus cases, more than 500,000. We also saw recorded 40 new deaths, pushing the death toll closer to the 10,000 mark. Across the country, numbers are soaring. Yesterday alone, the U.S. added more than 249,000 cases. That's the highest single-day tally since the pandemic started. Overall, the national death toll is more than 313,000 people. We're about to hit 17.5 million total cases. As for current hospitalization, over 114,000. That is another record high.
An apology tonight from an Operation Warp Speed official. This after Georgia and other states announced that they would be getting fewer COVID-19 vaccines than they were expecting. The chief operating officer of Operation Warp Speed taking full responsibility for what he calls a miscommunication.
At the end of the day, the number of doses available to us to allocate ended up being lower. And so as we gave forecasts to the jurisdictions and governors and states worked their priorities against those forecasts, when we had to decide what was going to eventually be shipped out, I had to lower the allocations to meet the releasable doses that were presented to me.
Next week, Georgia is expected to get around 60,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine and more than 170,000 doses of the newly approved Moderna vaccine. On Capitol Hill, there's breaking news tonight, and lawmakers are on the brink of a $900 billion COVID-19 relief plan. It will reportedly include a new round of stimulus checks. Congress is also planning to pass a $1.4 trillion funding package for the new fiscal year. New reports out tonight say both sides have reached an agreement on a key dispute. Lawmakers have adjourned for the night, but talks will resume tomorrow.
Now, CBS 46 Pinpoint Weather, certified Atlanta's most accurate forecast.
I have a live look here downtown for you at the Benz, the scene of no raindrops yet tonight, but Nearly 100 points in that building scored during that SEC championship game. The raindrops, they are getting close. So some showers on the way, developing right now over North Georgia. Temperatures are in the 40s. It's not as cold as it has been for the last few nights. And you can see this system here as it gets closer to us. It is kind of falling apart, shrinking a little bit. A lot of the rain is to our south. There's also this other area, which is a little bit farther to the north. So scattered showers are in the forecast for the rest of the night. And as we get into 9 o'clock in the morning, we're looking at clouds out there, temperatures in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Clouds could be a little bit stubborn for us today as the temperature will get to about 50 by noontime. It should make it into the mid 50s though during the afternoon. Low risk of showers in the afternoon. A stray shower or two cannot be ruled out Sunday evening as this disturbance finally clears on through by early Monday morning. We have some great weather coming our way for the start of the week leading up to Christmas. However, once we get closer to Christmas, the action really does pick up. So nice and mild with sunshine on Monday afternoon, mid and upper 50s. Might even touch 60 in a couple of spots. Clear skies in the forecast for Monday night. And Tuesday also looking really nice. Now, as we get into Wednesday, we start to see more clouds come into the picture, but it stays dry and stays relatively mild. Thursday, however, Christmas Eve looks active. So some rain comes through, possibly some heavy downpours. Right now we're timing that out morning into the midday and moving out on Christmas Eve during the evening. But notice the colder air moving in behind that front. And if there's any precipitation left, we could see a changeover from rain to a mix in snow in some spots. The best chance of seeing that is up in the mountains because the cold air will arrive there sooner. So it could actually be a white Christmas in the mountains. Not predicting that yet for the metro area, but it's a system that we need to watch. And it will be probably not a white Christmas, but a very cold Christmas day, a lot colder than it was last year. The normal high is 52. I think it's close to 40 for a high temperature on Christmas Day, and that might even be a little bit optimistic, and the wind is going to make it feel even colder. Last year, it was 65, and the record for Christmas Day is 75, set 5 years ago. So we have some mild weather coming our way and nice weather for last-minute shoppers, but pay attention to that Thursday forecast, especially if you are doing a little traveling on Christmas Eve. That rain could be heavy at times. It's followed by windy and much colder conditions. Right now, it looks like it will be dry on Christmas Day, but a high of only near 40 and cold again on Saturday, a high near 45.
Thank you, Fred. Still to come on the SEC Wrap-Up Show, how tonight's quarterback battle could determine the Heisman race. Plus, evaluating the Bulldogs after the regular season, how Georgia stacks up heading into 2021.
win the turnover battle. We didn't do that. We made a bunch of mental mistakes that really hurt ourselves on defensively in the first half on third down with opportunities to get off the field, and we have some penalties and not get off the field. Give up that drive at the end of the first half. All that's disappointing, obviously, but our guys continued to battle all the way to the end, right?
Welcome back to this special edition of the SEC Wrap-Up Show, a championship edition. Alabama beats Florida to win the SEC championship. It all happened down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Emily Gagnon has been there all night. The hype.
Hey, Fred. I don't think I heard that last part that you just said, but I do want to comment on Dan Mullen really quickly. He spent 9 seasons in Stark Vegas, in Mississippi, with the Bulldogs, and in 9 years, he never made it to the SEC championship game. I'll say he's been at Florida for 3, and he finally made it here. I mean, when he was back in the day offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer, and he would come here quite regularly, he was used to coming to Atlanta. And now I know it's upsetting that him and his team lost, but hey, they are one step closer to becoming the program they want to be. So I think, Fred, what I do want to talk about are the 2 quarterbacks, Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. Right now, I think a lot of Heisman Trophy voters are looking at those 2 guys and thinking, which one do I pick? Because it's very, very hard. It's like one of them's 1A and the other's 1B. The voters have to have their votes in by 5 p.m. on Monday, so they still have a little bit of time to decide. And for me, I think when it comes down to it, right, you got to look at Mac Jones, his 418 yards through the air today. They were an SEC championship game record for passing yards. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He has so many weapons around him to help him out, which is always a good thing. But Alabama right now, undefeated. So Mac Jones, I mean, you've got to think he might be a little bit ahead of Kyle Trask, who I don't want to take anything away from Trask. Trask led the Gators to this game tonight. 4 touchdowns on the night, and he throughout the season has been so dependable. He got the Gators past the Dogs, which is what Florida wants to do every single year to make it here tonight. So very, very tough decision for voters, Fred, between the 2 quarterbacks. Of course, we talked about Najee Harris and Devontae Smith, who very well could get quite a few votes as well. 3 guys from Alabama's team. Very, very well could be 1, 2, 3 on some people's ballots. But it'll be interesting, come a few weeks from now when we find out who does win on that night. Fred?
Alabama's got the running game, too. I mean, that helps a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, yes. Kyle Trask does not have a running game like that. That takes a lot of pressure off. But when we come back, UGA had the weekend off, but we take a look at their 2020 season in the Bulldog Report. Stay with us.
Plus, game day looking at a different thing this year, actually, because of the pandemic. So we're asking about the impact of capacity limits and a ban on tailgating.
From CBS 46, this is the SEC Championship Wrap-Up Show.
Welcome back to the SEC Championship Wrap-Up Show on CBS 46.
Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide are victorious tonight against Florida. Here's head coach Nick Saban on the big win.
You know, we found a way to win, and I think the relentless sort of competitive spirit that this team has is something that you don't really make or develop. It's just the kind of people that they are. And we're really, really pleased and happy that they're going to get rewarded for this, and they accomplish something significant that they'll remember the rest of their life. I mean, you win the SEC championship, you come back 25 years later and show your kids, you know, I was on that team. You can also show them the ring you get for doing it. So I'm very, very happy that this team is going to get that kind of positive reinforcement for their efforts this year.
Let's get back to Fred Khalil for the Dog Report.
Now, tonight's Dog Report, presented by Emory Healthcare, with virtual telehealth appointments available through Emory Connected Care. Get started at emoryhealthcare.org/connectedcare.
Well, the Bulldogs were supposed to play Vanderbilt today, but that game was canceled because the Commodores had more COVID issues. Now Georgia's regular season is over. Let's bring back Aaron Murray and Emily. Aaron, let's talk about the Dogs' quarterback situation with JT Daniels getting his shot. And once he got it, man, he never let go.
No, man, he's done a tremendous job through 3 games and doing a great job, especially the deep ball. I think that's one of the big impressive things we've seen from him, giving his opportunity to his guys to make those one-on-one plays on the field. Too many times beginning of the season, you see guys running wide open and balls are overthrown. And usually when balls are overthrown on post routes and go balls, quarterbacks are just playing it a little bit too safe. They're like, hey, I'm just going to launch it. Hopefully our guy catches it, but at the end of the day, if not, it's going to be incompletion. You see JT and his trust, especially with a guy like Pickens, to say, listen, I'm throwing it up, but it's really not a 50-50 ball. The size, the strength, the ability to go up there and snag it, it's more like a 70-30, maybe 80-20. So I love the fact that in such a short amount of time, he's built his trust with these receivers to allow them to go up there, make some big plays, and really open up this offense. And now you're seeing this run game going as well that last week. So to me, great sign to end the season for the Dogs. Hopefully they get a great bowl game, continue to impress here under Todd Monk and his offense.
You know, Emily, as we do every season, we see some guys emerge, and you've seen these games in person all year long. The defense really looked good most of the season, and they were even able to score quite a bit.
Yeah, it's no secret. You know, when I like a player, I make it known. Azeez Ojulari on defense. I think a few weeks ago when we had Davin Bellamy on, he said that Azeez is just a dog. There's nothing he won't do. He goes after the ball. He goes after the quarterback. And that's truly how I feel. That guy is Georgia's defensive MVP for the season, if you ask me. I cannot wait to see what he does next season. That is, if he doesn't leave for the NFL draft, because he very well could. He has had 3 years now, so he is eligible to leave. So that very well could happen. Obviously, you wish that you could have seen JT Daniels to start the season, because tonight, it might have been the Dogs playing Alabama in the SEC championship game, but hey, that's a story for another day. That is the past. We've got to move on from that. But Fred, I am so excited. Kirby Smart and his staff this week, they signed, as of now, the 4th best recruiting class of 2021. And the guy that is the highlight of that class is Brock Vandagriff, the quarterback. He's a true dual threat guy. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. I say that, and maybe Aaron Murray can help me out with this. So Vandagriff, he's going to come in there and he's going to want to see some playing time, but JT Daniels, he's earned that starting spot. So Kirby's going to have to do something that he wasn't able to do a couple of years ago. He's going to have to keep Vandagriff and JT Daniels happy so the Jake Fromm and Justin Fields situation doesn't happen again, where you see Fields leave because he didn't get enough playing time.
Aaron?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the situation. Listen, I don't love the 2 quarterback deal. You know, you stick with one, and going back to that deal with Jake Fromm and Justin Fields, I think he made the right decision. I mean, Jake, what he was able to do his freshman season, taking the team to the national championship, he was a leader both on and off the field. So, yes, Justin is a tremendous athlete. I love what Justin's been able to do at Ohio State. It was just unfortunate timing. To me, I don't think Justin should have committed to Georgia in the first place. I thought he should have gone somewhere else because of the season that Jake Fromm had. You can't take the keys out of his hand. He deserved the right to be the starting quarterback. And at the end of the day, if you would have promised Justin Fields, hey, listen, heading into your sophomore year, we're going to give you 4 series a game. A guy like that doesn't want 4 series a game. That guy like that deserves and needs and wants to be the starter. So I don't think there's any way to please Justin, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, he deserved the opportunity to start somewhere in the country, and he's making the most of it right now at Ohio State. So JT's the guy. He's earned the right. I think he will continue to earn that right in spring and fall camp and heading into the 2021 season. So listen, the young guy, sit back, learn. Hopefully Georgia can just whoop some butt next year. You get in some mop-up duty here and there, build some confidence. JT does his thing next year, goes to the draft. You'll take over as a redshirt freshman. So, listen, all these guys come up with big expectations. I want to start early. I want to start as a freshman. I want to be a 4-year starter. It's tough to do, especially when you're going to a place like Georgia that has done a great job recruiting and bringing in talent all over the place. So just sit back, learn, and watch JT do his thing.
Okay, Aaron, thanks so much. Rick?
Thank you very much, Fred. And game day in Georgia for the SEC Championship looks a little different this year given the coronavirus restrictions. CBS 46's Melissa Stern joins us from Mercedes-Benz Stadium with details on the changes being made to keep everybody safe.
The stadium here was at around 25% capacity for tonight's game, and the fans that we spoke to said they're taking precautions, but they weren't going to let COVID-19 stop them from attending this game. Gator and Bama fans took over the streets of Atlanta, although fewer than years past.
Die-hard fans such as myself, you see that? That right Roll there. Tide? Roll Tide. We're going to always come out and support our team.
The SEC decided to limit capacity to 16,500 versus the usual 71,000 due to COVID-19 restrictions. The game is sold out. Fans were asked to wear masks, wash hands or use hand sanitizer, and keep their distance from others.
For at least some of the older people, they might be more hesitant to come out, but just being a young student, I feel okay coming out here to watch the game.
Bars and restaurants are what some call COVID full, around 40% occupancy.
I think they're doing the best they can. They're a business that needs to try and get through this, and I think they're doing a good job.